Constructing your life is about much more than just building a bank account. Each week, join real estate entrepreneur and mindset coach Austin Linney as he interviews guests who are constructing their dream lives and impacting the world around them on a daily basis. If you're an entrepreneur or wanting to start a business, or you just want to hear motivating stories of how others have overcome the odds, you are in the right place. And now for your host, Austin Linney.
Guys, welcome back to Construct Your Life. This is Austin Linney, and I have the honor, we don't even need to introduce the man, because the worker behind the actual one making it happen. The Riggs, how are y'all doing, guys? Kayla and Haden, how's everybody doing today?
We're doing good, man. How are you doing?
Doing good. So, guys, it's an honor to have this couple on the podcast. We have really a real estate powerhouse team, but that's not how it always was. Kayla's new to getting her license, but crushing it. And then Haden runs a big office of agents for Keller Williams. But why don't we start back to let's start back to the restaurant business before you had kids. Let's start from there. And I would imagine life's a little different than back when we were grinding out 80-hour weeks.
Yeah, it's a whole lot different. So I guess I'd always been in the restaurant industry. I was in it for 12 years. I started waiting tables when I was 18, and kind of moved my way up into management and things of that nature. I was managing at a place in, I was living in California and I transferred restaurants back to East Texas, and I wasn't making the money that I was making in California. And by that time I had some wine knowledge and stuff. And so I actually got a job at a winery here in East Texas. And I was working one day and this super hot girl walked in and I realized that she worked there, and that's how we met. And so I kind of jumped restaurants. I mean, if you're in the restaurant industry, you know how it is. You kind of bounce around. And it brought me to Austin. Kayla was working for a music management company there in Austin. She had got an internship and was waiting tables as well. And then that turned into her career for 8 years. And I managed some restaurants in Austin. And then my restaurant closed abruptly, and I'd always wanted to get into real estate, and I got my license, and the rest is kind of history. A long history.
And how long have you had your license, Kayla?
I've had my license almost going on 5 years now.
And Kayla, how long have you had?
It'll be 2 years in April.
2 years in April. All right. And you have 2 kids, correct? Yes?
Yeah.
7 and 2?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And those don't take any time at all. No. But what I want to focus on is something that was hard for me, and I know is hard for so many people, Haden. Taking that leap out of the comfort zone of the restaurant business, it took me a long time. It's such a scary shift because the money is just like, you can make it like that. And so, talk about that comfort zone, making that shift.
So I love that you bring that up, because the comfort zone is a real thing, right? You hear so much that greatness is on the other side of fear, right? And fear can be in so many different ways. And for us, there was 2 years there that people would tell me, hey, have you ever thought about getting in real estate? You should probably really get in real estate. And I would talk to people, and you hear all the limiting beliefs that everybody has. And even people that aren't in the industry that project what they think on it because they know somebody that's a realtor, or they know somebody and they see the struggle of how hard it is. And so they're like, oh, that's so hard to break into, and yada, yada, yada. And so, when my restaurant closed in Austin, the last one that I worked at, the last one that I managed, we had bought a house in Austin suburbia of Kyle. So we had a mortgage, we had 2 car payments, we had a 2-year-old. Kayla's salary was not high. I was making close to $55,000 a year, which was great. Was great for a general manager position in a restaurant. It was kind of a unicorn position, right? But I never would jump because I was so scared of, we have to pay the bills. I can't do that. I don't know. And just listening to people's limiting beliefs around it. And I'd honestly think, God, it gives you pushes when you need it, and then unanswered prayers. And I don't think if I hadn't have lost my job that I wouldn't have ever just like dove in like I did. So everything happened perfectly. I was there. We had a big New Year's Eve party at Levy, and the next day Kayla and I went up there, and we had Bryson with us. Right, Bryson's 2. He's on Kayla's hip. I'm walking in. We're going to clean the restaurant. That's what you do as a manager. And we get there, and they're changing the locks on the doors. And so the person that I was working with, we had worked for probably like 6 years together. We had managed 2 restaurants together, and, she had to sign an NDA that couldn't really talk about it. And I had no earthly idea. And so once that happened, I remember the first thing I did was I looked over at Kayla and I was like, I can get my real estate license.
Instant.
Like I didn't like, it wasn't, and it's funny because it sounds so cheesy, but like in that moment, I didn't think about anything else but like, oh, wow, like this means that I have unlimited amounts of time because I'm unemployed.
I want the severance.
To get, yeah. And so like I had 2 months severance, even though like I'm a person, I can't sit still. And I thought that I would be able to. And I was like, I've worked so hard for so long and just so many hours. I'm just going to take a week off and just enjoy myself at home. And I almost went crazy. And so I went and got a job waiting tables. The service industry in Austin is absolutely amazing. All the owners and managers, and they had heard that the restaurant had closed down. And so they had offered me management positions, which was extremely hard for me not to take while I was getting my license. But I knew that that wasn't the path that I wanted to go down anymore. And so after I had made that mindset shift, it was really the catalyst that kind of set up the rest of our life, honestly, because now like there's no fear. That just doesn't really happen. I mean, Kayla lost her job last November, and I told her she'd been with the company almost 9 years. And I told her I was there when it happened. And to be honest with you, I'd been praying that it would happen because she was sick and tired of it. And so I've been like, I want this to happen, whatever. And
but I was scared.
Exactly.
Had to pay bills.
Which is understandable. Like I know where she was at mindset wise because I had been there before. And yet me losing my job was the best thing that ever happened to us. It completely changed our lives. It changed our kids' lives, our parents' lives. Like we're able to financially do things now that we were never capable of doing before. And in turn, our whole mindset has shifted. And so Kayla, I was at the house when Kayla got the call, and I heard what was going on. And I was in the kitchen like, yes, like, thank you. And so she was down. Like, I know what that feels like. And I told her, I said, you get to be down, but not forever. Mm-hmm. And you get 2 days. So get it together.
These 2 opportunities almost gave you the permission to live the life that you were needed to live.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely, man. And like now, like you say, like on literally what's on the other side of fear is like greatness, like whatever you want.
Yeah. And I haven't shared this story with you, but I want to share it because it matters to this context. So when I got laid off, when I started the Airbnb company and we decided to part ways and I lost a bunch of money, I didn't have a job. I didn't have anything going on. And the restaurant that I had left as a manager, it was our 2-year anniversary, and I had left the company that I started like for a couple of days. And I was like, you know what? It'd be great to see everybody. I go down and say hello to everybody. I'm like 5 minutes away. So I park the car. I get out of the car. I walk up to the building. My hand reaches to touch the door. I grab the door. I look inside, and something like some voice over here said, "That's not your life anymore. Go the other way." And I literally like unleashed the door, got it back in the car. An hour later, I got a call to work in private equity. Like it was like this hand that said, "No, 20 years, you've done it. Back up." And it was a life-defining moment for me because I could still be waiting tables or bartending right now.
It's the universe. Like if you listen to it and pay attention and follow that, like the world is your oyster, dude. You can get whatever you want.
And we're gonna unpack a lot of stuff, but I wanna talk to Kayla about, you've seen him do the real estate stuff, and had it ever crossed your mind to think about doing it, or did you not?
Oh yeah, him and Brittany, they asked me almost monthly, you should get your license, come be our assistant. Like they harassed me about it, and I was like, oh no, I could never do real estate. I'm not a salesperson. Mm-hmm. That's literally what I told them every time. And honestly, the job that I had in Austin was something that was a dream of mine ever since I was, I guess, in middle school. And so I felt like I was living my dream. And if I gave that up, like, I didn't know what I would do with my life. So, I mean, when I lost my job, it was pretty rough, but I've been beaten down a little bit. So I was at like rock bottom emotionally. And so whenever I got the chance, I mean, I had my license at this point when I got laid off, but I had only sold 4 houses. I was doing it part-time just for extra income. We were paying off credit card debt. I had like an exit strategy in mind. Like there were things I wanted to do with the extra income from real estate before I stepped out of the other position. But life had other plans. And that's been really good for us, though.
And how many homes have you sold since you lost your job and went all in today?
25.
Yeah.
Yeah,
25?
that first, so from April to November of last year was when I was doing it part-time. I only sold 4. And then I kind of took November, December as like me time and starting to ramp things up and figure out what I was doing with my life. And then in January, I took gold at Keller Williams, and finally it was starting to get some momentum, and then COVID hit. So I think this is like my first full year I consider January to now.
She, like, when you look at like our report, she had done, I think she did 2 in February, 2 in March, and then she didn't have another sale until July. And so from July to now, she's done like 21 units, and she'll close out the year at about $6 million. In production.
And I've doubled the salary that I had for 8 years.
She made she made almost as much last month as her salary was. Like, she was about $10,000 off from her salary.
It's been
and income last month. Yeah.
It's amazing. But to back it up, but I want to touch on something because it's super important, especially with what we have going on right now. A lot of people working remote and changing up the way that work environments are done in big cities. One of the reasons that maybe the blow of losing her job, maybe not yours because you were still living in Austin, was because y'all made the extremely difficult decision to move back to your hometown to bills maybe that weren't as great as Austin, and the rate, and you were doing great in Austin as a realtor, so I'm sure, and you owned a home there. And we all know, Austin is like a siren. It keeps everybody there and keeps them in the same place. What ultimately made the decision for y'all to pick up and move to Northeast Texas, which is a smaller town? It's not the glitz and the glam, of.
We were surprised with the pregnancy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Second,
Whoops.
She came. She's a trip, man. She came unexpectedly, and I think in that moment, we just kind of, we missed our family. It made us really think about what was important in our lives, and so, I mean, we were doing great in Austin. Like, real estate is great. I was doing great. I was runner-up. Brittany and I were both runner-up rookie of the year for our first year at KW Southwest Market Center. You guys, there's 900 agents in that office, right? It's a big office. And so, I mean, we were doing great. Brittany and I had a great team going. And it was really difficult. And Kayla had her job. And like she said, like, that's what she wanted to do since she was little. And that's very difficult to come in between. But it was a decision that we both made together.
Well, and then my favorite band of all time, they were my clients and friends, and they had just left. So it was kind of everything happened at once and just domino effect.
Yeah, we had decided to move. We told Brittany. We didn't tell many people. We told our family. The house that we were in sold like super quick. When we moved here, I had a buddy. The house that one of my best friends grew up in. His dad was like, "Y'all can stay here. You don't have to pay me rent. Just pay utilities." And so we moved in there rent free. I was still closing stuff in Austin. Plus, I started working as the team leader here for the Tyler office. And it was just like, we paid off both cars like within a month. Like, it was just a big blessing. And on top of that, like, now our kids get to be around their grandparents and the cousins. And it's just been a real like eye opener as far as like what's really important in life.
We figured out what our priorities. I mean, they were our priorities before, our family and our kids, but I don't think we were living that way.
Yeah, I agree.
And I mean, let's just call it what it is. You know, my new philosophy is there's a plane, you can travel anywhere. So my new philosophy is like, you can cut your bills probably in 3/4, I would imagine. You know, the dollar over there, just in everything, investment wise and all that stuff, goes so much farther that, you know, 120K over there feels like you're making probably 200 in Austin.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. The cost of living is and like we were putting Bryson in, like we paid for childcare, like we put him in the best daycare that you can afford in Austin, and it was crazy expensive. And here are private schools after that. And you know, now I mean, even our income now that we've settled into this place is more. I mean, it's like probably doubled what it was in Austin, honestly. Each, yeah. So
because more, I think important wise, there is something to be said to have that pressure up against you, right? Like the pressure of always needing, like what I call it, like I don't know how familiar you are with wholesaling, but a lot of wholesalers have a great gross margin, but they've also spent a ton of money marketing, right? So you got to feed the beast. And that's what I feel like Austin is sometimes. You can't really have a down month. You got to keep it rolling, and that pressure can be too much sometimes.
Yeah.
And keeping up with the Joneses, right? Because in Austin, it's a completely different atmosphere, especially with some of the agents. I mean, there's 16,000 agents in Austin. It's a lot, and it could possibly be more. I mean, we've been gone for, over 2 years.
Price point's higher, which is nice. But,
yeah. And by you doing what you're doing and selling, 20 plus houses now, and you feeling comfortable, and then if you that was your life before, like, what does a day-to-day life look like? Because you're not slowing down. You still have 2 kids, but I would imagine that working together probably helps out the marriage and having real estate be the topic of conversation.
About that.
What's that?
About that. So Hayden's mainly in the office, and then I'm running around like a crazy person.
It was just funny because a lot of people think because I'm over the office and that I have the experience that I do, that I've helped her out a lot. And
no, I didn't do what he said.
So it was, I projected on her a lot of what works for me in real estate at first. And and honestly, like her becoming an agent, especially in my office, and now being one of the, in the top 20% of the Tyler office in such a short amount of time, has made me a better leader, because I see that what works for me doesn't necessarily work for her, right? We're complete opposites. And so I would like project on her, like, hey, I'm going to order you $1,000 worth of these beautiful, like, branded signs for open houses. And you can do an open house Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Because that's how I sold 10 million my first year in Austin. You know what I mean? Like, I got on, like, boots on the ground. That's what works for me. And so I try to project that on her, and she would come home from the open houses bawling, just like bawling, like, I hate this, I hate real estate. And so everybody thinks that like being married to the team leader was like a leg up, but honestly, like everything that she's done, she has stepped up, she's changed her mindset, and she's just the boss with it, man. Her main source of lead generation is agent to agent referrals. And she just crushes it. I've never seen anything like it.
And what is that? I mean, what did you have to do, Kayla, to get him off your back? I mean, just say, like, let me be me.
I don't really remember. I think the agent to agent referrals just started coming in, and he started backing off.
I think.
And I told him, no, I'm not doing open houses. I think for me, the way that I work, I wasn't effectively using that time, and so there was no point. Like, yes, it's free lead generation, but I for whatever reason, it just wasn't working for me. I'm sure it's a limiting belief, but I don't feel like I have that mentality or that personality to really like go.
One of the greatest things I've ever heard in my life was a guy said, why would I spend time working on my weaknesses? I'm just strengthening weaknesses.
Yes.
Like
Yeah,
he said, you know,
That's it.
you are what you are. And when you find out, I think the ultimate secret weapon in life is self-awareness. I really do. Because you don't know what you don't know, right? But when you try to be like, that's the biggest problem, right? That I see. And I don't like, look, Keller Williams is a great company. This is not what I'm not bashing Keller Williams, but an overall agent, but I'm just using, I'll use Compass. I don't care. But what I'm saying is what I'm saying is they have coaching, right? And they have coaches for the agents.
Yeah.
But that coach wants to make money too. That doesn't work. Like, so you have to drill in on what this person does better than everybody else, right? Because everybody has a gift. Dude, there's a girl down here who used to be in horse racing, and she's 23, and she's going to close like 40 deals this year of like horse properties. And she's just like, I don't even do anything. They remember me from barrel racing days, and they found me on Facebook, and like, what am I going to tell her? Stop selling horse properties? Like, you know, I mean, like, just do what you do. And like, you know, as my old boss would say, like you find the bullseye and you hit it so hard, you knock the bullseye off the wall. Like, you just keep doing what you do.
Yeah,
right?
I think when I started, I was trying to do too many things at once.
Okay.
And he told me, you need to hone in on like 3 things and just go after it.
Mm-hmm.
So I do social media, Sphere, and the referrals. And it works. Those are free.
Yeah,
100%. And I would imagine, and I could say this comfortably in the room because women are better than men. I would imagine that overall, Haden is 100% suited in what he's doing, right? Meaning a team leader, keeping everybody energized, seeing the big picture. But you as an agent probably are a better agent overall than him because he's found what he loves. It's not. I'm not talking bad about you. Wouldn't you agree, Haden?
He tells me that all the time.
Oh, dude, she's gonna surpass me like just next year alone. Like her projecteds and everything. Like she's amazing. Her attention to detail is 10 times mine. I mean, you know how it is. Like, I mean, I can talk all day and I'm loud and do my thing and I can energize people. But like when it comes to, I mean, her clients love her. She's amazing.
Mm-hmm. And what has the financial freedom, right? And I guess job freedom, even though you are busy, what has that done for the family overall opposed to what you were doing beforehand?
Would you like to take this one? I've got a list.
Okay. Go ahead.
We had almost $50,000 in debt, credit card debt. We're almost through that in a year. We've been talking about this debt for 4 years.
Yeah, it encompasses your like.
It's been a sore point.
I mean that goes back to living with the Joneses, right? You try to keep up a lifestyle that you can't afford, especially in a large city. And I'm guilty of it, right? I mean, I love to spend money.
Yeah. So we are almost through our debt. We finally took our honeymoon almost 6 years after the fact. That's been great. I just think like our mentality overall.
Just like there's no ceiling, right? Like Kayla's always been, we love new construction. I sold a ton of new construction in Austin. Kayla's getting her LLC together currently to start doing spec homes and start building new builds. And I mean, there's a lot of different things that we're dabbling into.
Now that we can,
yeah. And you know,
and you know, they say a lot of agents aren't good investors. You know, obviously, like, yeah, we've got this salary and that's great, but I see y'all fighting and headed towards maybe long term, like bigger shots of profit, right? I mean, is that the long term mentality?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, transactionally, like real estate is a great, it's a great like gateway drug to true wealth. Because there's no limit of how much money she can make, right? And now that she sees herself, she's becoming this person that she never thought that she could be. And now the ceiling just rises. Well, all that extra income, like we're hyper aware because we work with investors, we work with people that, you know, have true wealth, and we have the opportunity to see things before they even hit the market, right? Like she's about to take a listing and I was looking at it and I was like, you know, let's run the numbers on this and see if it's a good investment property for us because it's $100,000. You know what I mean? Like, and it's right here close to us. And so it's just a good starting off point. Like we finally feel like we're to a point now in our income that we can do the other things that are going to make us long-term well.
You heard of?
It's nice to
go ahead.
It's nice to finally be like realistically talking about all the things that we've wanted to do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like retirement, investment properties, things like that, so that we can set up our kids and our parents, our whole family with some kind of a cushion as we all get older.
We just want everybody taken care of.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want anybody worrying about anything because of money. Like, that's an awful place.
Have y'all heard of infinite banking?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
So buckle in. So it's a way to be your own bank and invest money tax-free.
Oh.
So rich people have been doing this forever, and they're not telling nobody. All right. So so hear me out. You take a life insurance policy. I already have the guy in California. You overinflate it, so you pay in a number per month, right? After a seasoning period of 2 years and a certain dollar amount, you can then loan the money to yourself to buy real estate tax-free, like a check.
Okay.
And more importantly, there's no payback period on the loan, and you only take the loan out at 1 or 2%. So you could even take the money and loan the money to other investors at 10 and 12% and be making money on your money. And then you put it back into the account, and then you pull it back out again. And here's even better. When your kids are 5 and 6 and 7, you can put a life insurance policy on them too, and have multiple ones.
Wow.
It's a tax-free shelter.
I'll
put you in contact with the guy. But what I'm saying, these are the long-term wealth strategies that are available to somebody who's producing income and then jumping it into vehicles that continue to produce more income. I think, one of the greatest books, and it's meaty and it's a lot, but Profit First is the book. And it's a game changer, because basically his context is, I know this is Hayden's deal. When you have a brand new tube of toothpaste and you're just like squeezing it everywhere and you're like, oh, I got toothpaste for you. I got toothpaste for you. Like, whatever. And then it gets down to the end and you're like pushing it on the table and you're like, I'm going to get the last little bit out. Well, he says that should be your bank account for business. If you took money out of your business and you put it somewhere else, then you wouldn't know you didn't have it. And so you would operate the business more efficiently than be a bloated bank account. And it's something to think about, because, there's, as much as we're concerned about real estate, there's obviously avenues outside of that can invest the money 2 or 3 times, to create tax shelters and stuff. I mean, that's really why you invest in real estate, is to get the tax benefits. So, these are the things that I see y'all doing over the next couple of years that are really going to, be beneficial. And if it was me, like when I do have kids or whatever, I want to like hand the damn kid Rich Dad Poor Dad at like 2 years old.
Yeah, right.
Like, start reading it now. Yeah, like learn it, because I know for me, and maybe Hayden can speak on this, there's such a, I don't know if herd mentality is the right word, but there's such a cash heavy mindset with waiting tables and bartending that sucks you up in this wheel, and you think it's good money, but you don't realize how much you're like breaking down your body. You don't realize how much you're breaking down your mindset, right?
Oh, dude, I couldn't, it's funny because I got my license when I was 29. And so I waited tables at this place that's on downtown 6th Street. And so South by comes into Austin every year around March. And so I just started, and I think I was there maybe 3 months, and then South by hit. That was I would come home at night barely able to walk. I was like, this is awful. I am no way doing this. That was my goal, was I'm quitting before South by hits next year. I have to sell enough real estate, and I quit a week before South by hit because I couldn't do it, man. My body was shot. You drink too much, you just stay up late. It's just a lot.
And you're in a false narrative that it's okay, right? But what you can do, and what I think what breaks my heart out really bad, is I know how much money I made in my 20s, right? And dude, I'm not kidding you because I coached them. Dude, I'm meeting like 18-year-olds and 19-year-olds that have like 186 units and they make like 250K a year. And I'm like,
we missed the boat.
I wish I would have. The only thing, if I could change anything, I would have gotten into real estate at an earlier age.
Sooner, right? Like, dude, I met a girl the other day. She's on my buddy's team. She just graduated high school. She sold her first new construction house. Like the day after she graduated high school, I'm like, yes, I love it. I'm like, that is like the best ever, you know, because she's so far ahead than I was. I don't even think I got into like 36 or like, 20, 29. See if they come back. But all we're saying, guys, is you have to start ASAP, meaning you have to start as soon as possible to create the wealth that you're missing out from, because you can't make it up later on in life. You can catch up, but you can't make it up in life, because you're gonna regret it, because you can start with infinite banking at 19.
We lost you.
You're good. You can start at infinite banking at 19, and you could start buying your first property. One property a year for 10 years could retire you, right?
Oh my God, absolutely.
And what's crazy to me, and I would imagine y'all don't have a lot of it, right? And Tyler, but I did something for one of my young clients the other day, right? Is that I said, how much do you make a year? And he said, I work as a call center. I make 24 grand. And I was like, okay, great. I was like, that's like 3 wholesales and you could have your whole year back. And he was like, man, he's like, when you put it on paper, he's like, but that's what we don't do, right? We don't map out what we want. Like what I would tell Kayla is like, yeah, you had a great year, right? But my question to you is, how do you sell 40 next year, right? How do you sell 40? Or you say, I'm comfortable selling the exact same I did, but we're going to invest in 5 assets. That's
what I want.
That's the shift, because I think what people notice over time, right, is that it's fun and we can make money as an agent, but ultimately you're still trading time for money.
Yeah.
I want my money to make money.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And how are you as an agent? I mean, besides getting in business with investors and learning what they're doing, how are you teaching yourself that avenue?
I mean, like, definitely meeting with other people that have done it prior, right? Like, I love conversations with you. I usually always get hyped when I'm talking to you.
Same.
And then, like, right, reading. I was part of Bigger Pockets. I need now, the office takes so much of my time, because you've got to think, like, I took over this office 2.5 years ago. There were 80 agents when I got here, and we're right at 200. So, like, I've opened a business center. I've recruited a whole brokerage in another city. There's like 23 people at that brokerage. I'm working on another business center in another city that's close by Tyler. So definitely, it's funny because, like, you did our team meeting this morning or whatever, and Kayla and I, we went to lunch, and I was saying I've got to make time to get back on educating myself as far as, like, reading more and stuff, because when I first got into the industry, I had all this free time and I was just soaking up everything that I could, whether it be podcasts or reading books or whatever. And so I definitely intend to do that more and build Kayla's team up to where Kayla can step out of the team and still be making income off her agents that she has under her, right?
And I think, and I only say this because I know y'all so intimately. Like, I love the avenue and I love that she's crushing it. But what I would like to see, and I know it's very hard, but what I would like to see is a little more balance in creating that second avenue, meaning the investment knowledge base that can really get y'all to, I don't know, spend a month in Costa Rica with your kids, and you know what I'm saying? Like, yes. That, like,
I want that too, Austin. Trust me.
Yeah.
This transactional type business is not something I want to do
Right,
forever.
But it's what's awesome is to see it so early, right? Because a lot of people get blinded by the dollars, but you're already seeing like, no. How with a roadmap in 3 to 5 years can we replace all this? And I've got 6 agents underneath me making money, and then I'm spending a month in Italy, a month in so on. And that's where one of the greatest goals that I heard that I stole from somebody in one of my masterminds is my goal is to be location independent, meaning I don't want to have to be anywhere, right? Because I don't have to, like, you have to be here, because I find joy in how creative you can be away from those spaces, right? And we've talked, Kayla, about doing like Airbnb things up there and all sorts of stuff, and I love that. And so, what is the first route like to start? Is it to sell new construction, or like create your own and sell it, or move into one, or what do you think?
I think right now, me and a general contractor are talking about partnering up and building a few spec homes.
Mm-hmm.
He only wants to do like 2 or 3 a year. I want to do 20. So
Okay.
As soon as I figure that out, I'm ready to hit the ground running on that.
Mm-hmm.
New construction here is very prevalent.
Mm-hmm.
And the other side of that is people are either building from scratch or they're flipping. And you told me flipping is not the most fun, so I would prefer to stay away from it.
Yeah.
So the new construction is what I love to do anyways.
See, this is where we can hit it right on the head. I'm obsessed with new construction because you can control the process from start to finish, and you're not trying to buy the house that 20 other people are trying to buy. And if you figure out all the details, you can get the system, you can get the costs kind of fixed. And then the higher you buy, the lower the costs go. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword. That being said, is the builder going to listen to this Facebook? Is he going to listen to it?
Maybe. I'm sure we'll share it. Maybe. Yeah.
I don't know.
All I'm saying is I like to date before we get married, right?
We've dated a little.
Yeah. Well, no, all I'm saying is my goal in life is to let the business drive the scale. Right? So the business drives the scale. So if we do 3 homes and it's like, man, this is great. Well, then let's see what we're doing, because there's a great book called Rocket Fuel. And it's about visionaries and integrators. And it's just how 2 people's partnerships teamed up, working in the right skill set of what they do, can explode into great. Because my business partner in the Airbnb business, he loves spreadsheets and he loves tax codes, and I don't even know what that is, nor do I want to touch it. So I just you know what I'm saying? But I think between the 2 of y'all, you have a very good dynamic of making that happen.
Yeah. I'm sending you a request so I can put us back on my computer because my arm's about to fall off.
Okay. I accepted it. Send it again.
Okay. Just heads up. That's what that is. Hayden's going to take us away.
So ultimately, so it's interesting because there is going to be debt paid off, and then you're going to feel the pressure from that gone. So then it's really going to be about how you create long-term wealth, which is kind of a misnomer, because what we view as wealth and what we view as income are 2 totally different things. And I think that's where people get it messed up, is they don't understand that wealth is accumulated by you making money when you're not working, right? Because you could have
having problems.
God.
Okay.
Sorry.
So
internet doesn't work in Tyler.
No, you're fine. I got it. So what I'm saying is, what people don't understand is there's a difference between income and wealth. And wealth is generated from making money when you're sleeping, or money combining or compounding on compounding. And what I mean by that is, I don't give a crap if you're making $400K a year. If you're not generating long-term wealth, then you could get your leg hurt, COVID could hit, all these things. And I think that's what woke people up, is like, yeah, a job's great, but we don't know where that job could end. We don't know where Keller.
Well, there's so many different factors that come into a job too, right? Because when you're working for someone or for an entity, like people have different opinions than other people. You get sick of it. You lose that interest in it. And when you do something for yourself and your money's making money, there's no limit to that. You're not tied down. It's just that, it's kind of like the same thing of like being in a restaurant,
Mm-hmm.
You're in a restaurant, you're making good money, but you don't leave those, four walls that you're in.
Yeah. And I would be interested, maybe if you could take a couple minutes as we wrap it up, Haden. You manage a lot of agents. You oversee a lot of new people coming in the game. There's a lot of people that I coach that are getting their license right now. What would you say, just from your experience, that they should be focused on right out of the gate in the first 90 days? What are the things that are going to move the needle for them the most?
Lead generation, right? Being comfortable with being uncomfortable. A lot of people get into the industry and they think that they're going to make a ton of money, and they see agents, driving extremely nice cars that are leased, and that it's a facade. And so you come in with this idea that you're going to make all this money. Well, you absolutely can make a lot of money. You have to lead generate daily. I suggest at least 3 hours, whatever that looks like for you. If it's reaching out to other agents and doing agent-to-agent referrals, or planning out your open houses for the week, calling for sale owners, expireds, just figuring out what works for you. And if that means throwing a lot of stuff against the wall, when something sticks, increase it, right? And then just lead with revenue. Don't get into the industry and spend a ton of money. You're already in the red when you get in. You've paid for classes. You paid to join your local board for the MLS. So right out of the gate, you're probably $4K in the red. One sale is going to get you in the black. Just focus on those, like Kayla said, the free forms of lead generation, and talk, figure out who the top producer is in your office and talk to them. Especially with a company like Keller Williams, our culture is one of the main things that I love. And, there's enough business to go around. Everybody's there to help you. Right. And then if you are thinking about getting in the industry, or you are, like, give me a call. I'm super transparent. I'm extremely honest. It wasn't easy for me. It was very difficult. And the only time that you lose is when you give up. As long as you get back up and keep going, you can achieve anything, honestly.
Mm-hmm. And something that's super important is that I think if you were to look at yourself in the mirror, and what I challenge people most of the time is, you might think you're all in, but maybe you're not. And what I mean by that is, if you go all in for 90 days and you make, your health and your business a priority, let's say you're single, let's say you don't have kids, and you go all in, I guarantee you after those 90 days, you're going to be a lot farther ahead than you were. But there's a lot of people putting one foot in and one foot out, and claiming they're all in, which is.
Yes. And honestly, like, when you put yourself to the fire, like when I got my license, I had no other choice. I didn't have a college degree. I hadn't done anything else in my life other than being in a restaurant. And really the only way to go up from there was to own a restaurant. And that's not something that I'm fine with owning it, but I won't work in it. That's not something that I plan on doing ever again. And so real estate had to work. Mm-hmm. And I made it work because it had to. Like, it was our ticket out of there. You know what I mean?
No, for sure. And what about you, Kayla? What would you tell all the young agents? Because, I meet a lot of moms that were sitting on the couch and they're like, I need to make some money. And they YouTube, like, how to make money in real estate, and like wholesaling or an agent came up, and here they are, selling 4 or 5 houses a month. And, I think that a lot of people like question what can be done. And I'm not saying it has to be your everything, but, you could sell 5 to, 12 houses, 10 houses a year and really change the trajectory of the family dynamic.
I mean, when I got started, it was a little rough, but I mean, like Hayden said, my advice would just don't give up. Just keep trying. Nobody's going to hold your hand. It's something, the whole business is a lot of trial and error and learn as you go. So just barrel through it.
I love it.
Ask top producers for help.
Well, we know how that's how I do life. Is just barrel through it. So
just jump.
Well, guys, if anybody wanted to find out about you, how do they contact y'all?
You can find Kayla's real estate group. We're always down for, we call it R&D, rip off and duplicate. That's another thing, and that's real life and real estate.
Advice.
You can find us on Facebook at Riggs Property Group. She's also got an Instagram. If you want to reach me directly, you can email me at Haden, HADEN.Riggs, RIGGS @KW.com. I've always got my email with me. So if you have any questions or anything, or need business coaching or anything like that, I mean, I sit down with my agents constantly and help them make more money. So I love stuff like that. I'm all about it.
At Agent Riggs, at Agent Kayla Riggs on Instagram.
And I'm gonna tell a story as we go out here, because, and I told it on your team call, he didn't buy the houses for me. He didn't sell me the houses, but, to this day, 12 years later, I owe so much to Haden. He was working at this model shop called Perla's down on Austin. And he said, Austin, you need to come work here. These servers are making a killing. And I was like, no, I'm good, man. I'm right where I need to be. And he said, no, I don't think you understand. You need to come in here for an interview. And that restaurant changed my financial everything. I mean, I was making $32,000 every 4 months, and it really allowed me to put, I sold my car. I was taking the bus. I was literally would leave for a month and then come back, and I would make I was making $35,000 a shot, and it allowed me to save up $39,000 and buy my first 2 houses, guys. And so remember that relationships are everything, and it really is somebody that he put me in front of something. And yes, I had to go do the work, but he gave me the opportunity. And when he gave me the opportunity, I stepped up and took full advantage of it. It really allowed me, more importantly, allowed me to wait on a lot of rich people. And
yeah, right.
And when Austin was exploding, so it was kind of a combination of a bunch of different things, and it really allowed me to talk to a lot of people that had money, that traveled, and made me think about what I wanted to do. And it really is about proximity is power, guys. And when you're in the room with these people, and water finds its level, you really have to get in the room with people that are smarter than you and farther along, and they'll really they'll really help you. So I wanted to share that story so everybody understood that we all start somewhere, and you never know what opportunity is going to be available. And I just wanted to thank y'all so much for coming on here, guys, and make sure you share this episode with your friends and send it out to everybody. And thank y'all so much.
You're so welcome, brother. Thank you, Austin. We love you, brother.
We love you.
Love you guys. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Construct Your Life with Austin Linney. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to rate, review, subscribe, and pay it forward by sharing with a friend. Most importantly, take this opportunity to start constructing your life by taking immediate action on what you learned. For show notes, resources, and more information on one-on-one coaching with Austin, visit constructyourlifepodcast.com.